This is the Womier, doesn't matter, WK61 budget mechanical keyboard that I have fully decked out. In this video, I'd like to go over just a keyboard review and unboxing. I'll show you the sound test before I modded it, and then what I did, and then what it sounds like now, as well as just Pete's thoughts on the budget WK61. But first, light show. Evil keyboard lighting. First up, unboxing. So obviously I already unboxed it and I've been using it for a week or two and it's heavily modded, etc. But I have this right here. Here's the box that it came in, along with an instruction manual. It is a 60% keyboard layout, which basically means you're gonna need to use these function. You can see right here, they have some arrows. That's where your arrow keys are. The manual, very important to have for, you know, RGB changing on the function keys, which is actually also on the keycaps. Spoiler alert, this is one of the pros. I don't like putting keycaps myself. As you can see, the RGB shines through for putting keycaps, but I do like that they include the default functions on there. Arrow keys, as well as like the RGB stuff. It's easy to see right on the fly. But instruction manual also has that info. Now, cable, it is not wireless, USB-C over there, cool. Comes with a keycap puller, comes with another, oh, that's probably like a switch puller. Also, I didn't even know this. I probably would have put these on already, but apparently it comes with some extra keycaps. I'm actually gonna open these up. Again, comes with they're very high quality. I just don't like the look and design of putting keycaps personally, but if you're into that, and more importantly, if you're into RGB, this is the keyboard for you, because look at that. Not only the putting keycaps, but also the semi-translucent case. I really like this case. Spoiler alert, it's easy to customize. It's one of my biggest pros. I'll show you how I did that in just a second. But the case, really nice, transparent. They have a few different colors, including clear. This is like the blue, I believe. They might even have a green. I don't remember. You can go check that out. But it looks like they got some different keycaps here, which I'm getting all over the place and making a massive mess. But those look nice. They are also pudding, but they are blue. I don't know if you can see that or not. Obviously, dark blue. As opposed to the really light color blue and white keycaps that come on the WK61. That's it for the unboxing. Now, let's actually start out with a sound test, stock, right out of the box. It's important to note that these came with red switches, Otimu red linear switches right out of the box. Here's what it sounds like. So I'll do my full review with Pete's thoughts at the end of this video, but out of the box stock, here are my thoughts. It's a bit scratchy and stiff. It doesn't feel really substantial. It sounds good, it feels good, but it's not amazing, which is kind of to be expected from a $40 to $50 budget mechanical keyboard. But even right out of the box, there are a few things I do like. For one, it is hot swappable. Totally easy, just toss some new switches in there, which I'm about to do with the Kale Box Red Bean Pudding here in a second. But also, I just really like the case, the shape, the design, the layout. If you like putting keycaps, and if you like RGB, well then this is the keyboard for you. It works really well. It shines, it's super bright. Where's my lighting here? It looks amazing. Right out of the box, sounds good, feels good, not fantastic, but I like the case, nice and sturdy, well built. I like the translucent design, putting keycaps if you're into that sort of thing. RGB looks fantastic, yada yada. Okay, now let's transition into what I did to mod this bad boy, to make it even better, right? To take it from a $40 to $50 keyboard, Shazam lighting, boom, there we go, into a, I don't know, reasonably custom keyboard. It's never going to be fantastic until you change these stabilizers, which we'll get to, but here's what I did. So first, I knew I wanted to change the switches. I actually had some kale red bean pudding switches laying around. So step number one, obviously taking off the keycaps, removing the switches. You can see the stock Otimu red switches in there. And next up, I already mentioned this, super easy to mod this keyboard. There's only 6 screws right here on the plate before you can just pop out this bad boy and you're pretty much good to go with modding this. As you can see, there's a separate USB part right there, so you just unplug that wire from the PCB on the bottom and you're good to go. Now, I was originally planning to do a full out mod, like literally top to bottom swapping of these components, including stabilizers. I didn't actually do the stabilizers for reasons you'll see in a second, but I did start with a foam mod, first and foremost, just to thicken and dampen, even though I believe a tape mod, which you're going to see in a second, actually kind of reverses the soften and dampen, but in a good way, in a more creamy sounding way. This foam that you are seeing right here is actually from Home Depot. It's drawer liner. I think the entire roll cost about $6. Not the drawer liner with holes in it. It's the solid drawer liner from Home Depot, super cheap. I reuse it over and over again. It's not as good as Sorbothane or neoprene, but it's cheap, easy, readily available, and it works. Next up, tape mod. For this, basically, you will run at least one layer of Scotch tape. This is actually painter's tape, frog tape, again, from Home Depot. A couple of bucks for a full roll of it. I actually had it laying around because I painted my room earlier, but whatever. I actually choose to overlap maybe 50% of each strand of tape right there across the back, the bottom of the PCB. After I do that, I will grab my scissors, trim off the edges, and smooth out a little bit. One note, if you ever do this, you'll want to press down actually pretty hard. You don't want loose tape. That will be a crunchy, annoying sound. Press the tape down to the PCB. I had to learn that the hard way. Also, this does generally make your keyboard deeper, louder, but also a little bit more creamy. I'll do a full sound test in a minute, and you will see exactly how this tape mod made this keyboard sound. And I've actually heard from a few other keyboard YouTubers that the tape mod really shines on cheaper keyboards where you might have a not so good case. A cheap case with plastic materials or otherwise. If you're on a really high-end keyboard with a really nice case and you like the sound of the case, you probably don't want to do a tape mod because that will actually reduce the case sound, if you will. It'll make it a little bit deeper, creamier, like I said already. Kind of undampens the foam that you put in the bottom of the keyboard, although the foam still decreases resonance and also makes the keyboard heavier, which I really like, which is why I did it. Also, you can generally ignore the screw holes in the tape. I didn't cut those out, as you can see. I only cut out where the little USB wire plugs into the PCB, and I actually used the screws themselves off camera. You don't see it. I poked little holes into the tape after I put the PCB back into the keyboard. And last but not least, putting everything back together, you need to test out that, well, everything works correctly here. And I actually want to do a sound test with these stock Otimu red switches, but with the foam and tape mods. And then after that, I'll actually toss in those kale red bean puddings that you can see right there. But let's do a stock switch sound test with those mods first. So much creamier, so much better already, right? So, Kale Box Red Bean Pudding, that's the switches you saw just then. I threw those in there, and let's run just another quick little sound test. All right, so let's go through Pete's and thoughts. Pete's and thoughts? All right, so let's go through Pete's thoughts. Let's do this in like pros and cons. Which do you want first? Good news or bad news? Bad news it is. Cons, it sounds okay. I think that's a con, but it's a budget keyboard. It's 40, 50 bucks. You get what you pay for, really, and it's really not bad, but it's still a little scratchy, specifically with those Otimu red switches. Not a big fan here personally. It's a bit scratchy, it's a bit stiff. The stabilizers are definitely like budget. It just is. Like if you wanted to make this a really great keyboard, you'd have to do some lubing and tuning on the stabs, but right out of the box, a little bit stiff and scratch. Also, that's really the only con, right? It works great. I wish it were Bluetooth, but whatever. It's hot swappable. Can't argue with that. That's great. It's really good. Outside of like a little bit of scratch, a little bit of stiffness. It's not perfect. You throw some new switches in there, it probably improves it right out of the bat. But let's move into the pros. Pro number one, if you're into RGB, this is the keyboard for you. Translucent case, comes with putting keycaps in the box, and it looks great, works great, easy to customize the RGB. There is software for this, by the way. It's Windows only, so I did not test it out, alas. I like the case, I like the feel, the sturdiness, the weight, everything with the actual keyboard. And here's my biggest pro. It's so easy to customize. It's really easy to customize. You pop off the keycaps if you're gonna change them, or you wanna change the switches anyways. Pop off the switches, it's hot swappable, and you only need 6 screws to actually just take the whole thing apart. It works really well for customizing it. You can do a foam mod, the tape mod that I did. Even if you want to take apart the plate and the PCB, which I didn't do because it already had some foam separating those two things. If it didn't have that, I would have taken it apart. It's really easy to customize. You could do this with a tiny screwdriver and customize it to your heart's desire. By the way, another part of that is this thing right here, the actual plug. It's separate from the PCB. There's a little wire there, but you don't have to like maneuver it in and out of the case. You just literally like PCB on, off, and then you disconnect the wire. Super easy, just boop, unplug it. I really like that. It's a separate piece down here. Sometimes it's part of the PCB and then you have to like wiggle it in, which is actually pretty tough if you put foam in there and stuff like that. It's one of the easiest budget keyboards to customize, mod, period. I really, really, really like that. And that's mostly it. I think the sound is much improved with the new switches. I don't like Otimu switches in general, and the reds, I found I didn't like them. It's super easy to mod. I put some case foam in there. The tape mod cost me like $1 in materials, really. And new switches, which I already had laying around, which you might not, but $40, $50. Very easy to mod. If you like the look, this is the keyboard for you. And by the way, even if you don't like the look, I love the case. They come in different colors. I might actually just put some white keycaps on here, like black on white, so to speak, non-RGB, shine through, no double shot stuff. And that'll be a pretty solid keyboard. If you wanted to go the extra mile, you would probably want to lube and tune the stabilizers. It's just a little, there's rattle. It's actually better than it was. By the way, one more pro I have for you. In some budget keyboards with cheap budget stabilizers, the spacebar will be overpowering. It'll be louder than the rest of the keys while you're typing. It's not really so. You can go back and listen to the sound test for this keyboard, and it is scratchy because it's a budget stabilizer, but it's not super overpowering. It doesn't like stick out at you as you listen to it. It'll just kind of blend in, maybe even be like a little bit different sound, as opposed to like 2 times louder sound. Does that make sense? If you're gonna err on the, crappy stabilizer spectrum, whatever that means, I would do it this way. This is the best of the worst cheap stabilizers. It's fine. All right, big thanks to Womier for sending me this keyboard. I'm actually a big fan. Just due to the fact that it's so easy to take apart, mod, put back together again. You can do it in less than like 30 minutes-ish if you already have the materials around. It's easy. There you go. And if you like the look of the RGB, this is the keyboard for you. I'll leave a link below. You can go check it out. And I'd like to know what you think. So hit me up in the comments below, YouTube family, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy RGBing. Adios.